Here we are with Overwatch This. I'm Jeff from the Overwatch team.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube. Rich from PCGamesN here, and I'm joined once again by Ben.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, and we're talking Overwatch. This is episode 32 now, correct?
Yep, it is episode 32, well remembered.
Of Overwatch This. First up, first big news, everyone thought the anniversary event was going to happen this week, and
then it didn't.
Not only did it not, but we didn't even get an announcement, right?
Yeah, so what I'm expecting is that's going to be tonight. It may in fact have happened by the time people are watching this video. We make it on Wednesday morning, and then it comes out Wednesday evening, or Wednesday morning for Americans. Anyway, yeah, everyone thought the anniversary was going to be this week. It was going to kick off and last for 3 weeks, the kind of anniversary event. This was because there was a leak on the Xbox store via a website that basically kind of data mines the Xbox store and looks and sees what stuff's been newly listed and what deals are and so on. And what they spotted was, hey, these loot boxes are here. Which, everyone knew there was going to be anniversary loot boxes. That wasn't the news. But the bit that was interesting was that the end date was 3 weeks from yesterday.
Yeah.
Normally the events last 3 weeks. Therefore, people thought it was going to start yesterday. That was kind of destroyed yesterday when Blizzard came out and they said, we will announce it like we've announced all the other ones, which is pretty much like a week beforehand. They kind of go, by the way, this is going to start on this date. They don't say what's in it. You kind of get like a little glimpse maybe of a couple of skins. But they do say it's going to start on this date, either with like a social media post or a proper trailer or whatever. And that has not yet happened.
That's been the case for the last 4 events, I think. The last 3 or 4. They didn't do it with the first 2.
Yeah, they didn't do it like very, very initially. I think it was because they were still kind of working that stuff out.
But there's pretty clearly been a precedent established now.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And so, yeah, that's kind of been shut down by Blizzard. I'm expecting there to be an announcement very, very soon, because I would be very surprised if it doesn't start next week. It's possible that the June 5th date that was on that data mined loot box entry has been changed or will be changed, and it will still last 3 weeks. Alternatively, maybe they're moving to a 2-week schedule. Also, alternatively, maybe the anniversary loot boxes were added by accident, and they aren't actually going to be like new loot boxes. It's just going to be new items added to the actual pool, which is something that people want. We don't really know. We will see soon exactly what the deal is going to be with that.
There's one other detail on this. Michael Chu did an AMA the other day. What was revealed there?
Not a lot.
Okay.
Having interviewed Michael Chu a couple of times, he keeps the facts close to his chest. A lot of that's to do because he's in story, and they will reveal story when they want to. He doesn't have a lot to say when it comes to, if you ask him, so who's the next character, he's not going to tell you. That's part of his job description. Well, he did give a little bit of some clarifications about some stuff, like there was a family that Reaper was watching during the Christmas, the Christmas comic. Yeah. Most people assumed that it wasn't just some random family. Somebody asked him, he said, no, it's not just some random family. He didn't give any further details on that. But, it's just, he kind of confirmed a few suspicions like that. We have a post on the site about this. He also made mention of Jetpack Cat, which was one of the heroes that Jeff mentioned during his round of interviews for BAFTA. I think it was with GameSpot.
Right.
He mentioned to them that there was originally a cat with a jetpack as one of the Overwatch heroes.
And they cut it because it was just a little bit too out there.
I think pretty much, yeah. But he was saying that he'd been thinking about it a lot. He liked how much the community had been talking about it. And it seems like maybe that concept will return in some form.
Well, hey, we've already got a talking gorilla.
Well, exactly. Probably not as a hero. He mentioned specifically Torbjorn's cat, so maybe there'll be there'll be something there with in a comic or an animated short.
Yeah, that'd be very cool. So moving on, the Overwatch League. New announcements, new rumours in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Give a quick rundown of what the Overwatch League is for those who might not know.
Yeah. So if you had your head kind of buried in the sand, it's going to be the NFL for Overwatch. Like, it's more that than you may have seen from like other games. Stuff like the LCS exists for League of Legends, and it does use like a similar model. But this is meant to be international. They're meant to be franchise teams. It's meant to be like a proper kind of sports league. There'll be finals. There'll be home and away games. You'll have a local team. You'll support them because they are your local team. You won't just support, oh, I like these guys because they win, even if they're made up of 5 people from disparate corners of the globe. You will, that's the idea, and you'll buy merchandise, and there'll be big finals, and there'll be combines where new players will get together and show how good they are at the game, and teams will get to recruit from them. The whole 9 yards, basically. Like everything that you know about American sports franchising is what they want to do with the Overwatch League. It was announced last year at BlizzCon. They gave it really center stage stuff, and then Nothing. We haven't heard anything since. Until this week. So I mean, none of this was official announcements until right at the end. So what it kicked off with, there's an esports journalist called Richard Lewis. While I personally disagree with his politics, he is very good at what he does. He's secured kind of exclusives when it comes to CSGO and League of Legends in the past. They've turned out to be true more often than not, as far as I know. And he released an article that said the Miami Dolphins and the New England Patriots had bought into the Overwatch League.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, these are huge names. These are really, really large sports teams. I mean, the New England Patriots are one of the largest sports teams in the world. We're talking crazy money. Like, no matter what the buy-in is into the Overwatch League, it's going to be pittance to these guys.
Yeah.
Just a few players, salaries for them.
Massive story, especially since there's been no real proof of concept in the Overwatch League yet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and we knew that these were the people that Blizzard were targeting. There were shots of Bobby Kotick sitting with high-profile owners of sports teams and sports franchises. At BlizzCon, there's been talk of esports teams being bought up by these teams. But this was the first time where it was like, yes, these two teams have bought in, according to sources. Again, could be bollocks, but by all accounts, it almost certainly isn't. Out of that, there were various reports. He included a little bit in there about this, and then this kind of expanded outwards as seems like more people, contacted the people they knew and got sources saying stuff to them, which is basically that the endemic sports teams, so we're talking Team Liquid, Evil Geniuses, Fnatic, TSM, teams like that, the ones whose main business is esports, and they've kind of been there, built these scenes from the ground up, be it through StarCraft or fighting games or CS or League of Legends or whatever, and that they were getting pushed out because they can't afford this. Now, that is definitely true.
Okay.
Because now the rumours for how much it is to buy in have kind of fluctuated, and we'll get onto that in a second. But if they are targeting these massive sports brands, whatever they're going to be putting the minimum price to these guys is going to be a lot more than TSM can afford, even as one of the largest teams in the world. It's going to be a lot more than Team Liquid can afford, even with all the different disparate supports and sponsorships that they have, right? So included in that was this idea that getting into the Overwatch League was costing teams an insane amount of money. So the original rumours, this was back just after BlizzCon when people were really trying to find stuff out about it, was that it was $2 million or up.
Right.
And that it would raise for bigger cities. So if you want to be the New York whatever's, the New York Winstons, yeah, exactly, then that's going to cost you more than being the, Manchester Reapers, right? And then the highest would be LA. That would because LA is kind of the home of Blizzard, and it's the home of a number of massive sports franchises. It being in California, it's also got San Francisco nearby. It's another huge batch of sports franchises. Now, what people are saying is it's actually $20 million and up.
Right.
The original rumors were that $15 million is what LA would cost you. Now the rumors are that it's $20 million minimum. So this is when Blizzard then came out and they were like, listen, this is bollocks.
Okay.
You're all talking, they didn't say this bit isn't true, but this bit is. What they did say, and basically which bits of it were true weren't their point. It was what they're saying is, listen, the people who are going to be speaking, whether they're telling the truth or not, this is going to be the people that we've pissed off or that are pissed off with the system. You're not going to be hearing from the guys that are happy with it, because saying this is breaking NDAs, right? This is breaking agreements. The reason people are going to come and say this stuff is because they don't like what we're doing and they want it to fail. You're only ever going to hear from the disenfranchised. And if you can see evidence of that in gaming in the past. People look at sites like Glassdoor and go, well, this company must be terrible to work for. Look at all these negative reviews on Glassdoor. It's like, who's going to leave a review on an anonymous site about their ex-employers? Going to be people that are pissed off. Now, those people might have a point, but you need to understand that the sample is going to be skewed in the negative direction. And the same is true here. When that statement came out, there was a team owner posted on Reddit. He kind of replied to the thread about that. He basically said, look, this is true. I'm sure there are probably other team owners that have said stuff as well, but this was kind of the most easily highlighted one because it was at the top of the Reddit thread. And he said that he thought, it's taking too long. The discussions are very back and forth, but that there is a lot of communication and that he doesn't feel like his team, which is pretty small. I think it's Team Selfless. They have some teams in a few different games. That he doesn't feel like they're getting pushed out. And if he doesn't feel like they're being pushed out, then it would be very weird if Ninjas in Pajamas or Evil Geniuses or whoever, these massive teams that have multiple very well-respected esports teams would feel that way.
Okay, so, I mean, that's all very interesting, but nail it down for us. What do we actually know for certain about when we're going to hear something, who's going to be involved, and when we're going to get some more concrete details about the Overwatch League.
So what's undeniable is this was announced too early.
Right. I'm getting that sense.
For fans, anyway. So what you have to think about is the reason they announced this is definitely so they could get the attention of the New England Patriots and people like that, and these massive sports teams that might actually be able to afford to buy in. Because again, it is almost certainly true that those original 2 million and above rumours are probably, pretty accurate. That sounds about right, if based on everything that we know. So it wasn't announced too early in that respect, but what they probably shouldn't have done is had this trailer during the BlizzCon opening ceremony, these 2 trailers that made it seem like it was happening now and that it was going to be something that you would be hearing about immediately. It feels like it should have been a bit more, kind of backroom, maybe deliberately leak some stuff if you want to get certain bits of information out there. Just send out a press release or save it for like a panel, like do an Overwatch esports panel and talk about what's going on. And part of it you can be like, oh, and by the way, this is happening, but you'll hear more about that in the coming year. Instead, what they did was, they
made a big centerpiece.
They made a big centerpiece out of it, and now everyone wants to know. And I remember looking at the press list for BlizzCon and the requested interviews, and it was all just people wanting to know about the Overwatch League.
Right.
And there weren't any, because there was one guy, there was Nate Nanza. He wasn't speaking to any press because he was almost certainly busy talking to these bigwigs that they want to be involved in the league. And then immediately afterwards you go on the Blizzard jobs site and it's all major, huge positions like head of X,
head of PR,
yeah, exactly, yeah, like not junior associates. The people that were meant to be running this, they were hiring for, and they've now done that. Now I think you wrote the story about MLG being consolidated within Blizzard, right?
And as a result of that, there were some new job postings, but all the Overwatch League ones had gone.
Yeah, they've all gone. So what they actually did was they then kind of hired all these people and integrated them into MLG, and then obviously people from MLG would have taken some of those spots as well. But if they were doing that, then that isn't when you should be. It's like doing a massive cinematic trailer for a game that you just started working on.
Yeah.
Slightly smaller time scale, but that is basically what they did. Beyond that, these esports teams, like I was saying, are definitely being priced out. But that doesn't mean that there aren't other options. So, for example, Team Liquid got bought by the guys behind the Golden State Warriors. Massive NBA team, probably the best in the world currently.
We're seeing a lot of that in across esports and other sports, where established sports franchises buy up esports teams. Yeah. So that's a way out.
That is how these teams are going to be getting involved. Now, exactly how all of that is breaking down, clearly there are some that are not happy with it. I very much doubt that these are just, it's just Richard Lewis or whoever, or ESPN, just making something up. Particularly, this is stuff coming from ESPN. This isn't, your local backwards news site that you quite happen to like. This is very large, very established journalists or sites that know what they're talking about and aren't just going to make stuff up. So that is almost certainly true, but I expect that there are going to be ways for them to get in, and maybe they aren't happy with those ways, but that's something that they're going to have to work out, basically. And then finally, something is going to be announced soon. The latest earnings call, which was, I think, last week or the week before, was very kind of, we're going to have more news about this soon. They talked about it more than they usually do. As always with an earnings call, it's very kind of high level, not very in-depth when it comes to actually announcements and that sort of thing. But it was like, yes, we're still doing this. There's going to be some announcements soon. Bobby Kotick specifically said the coming months. I would expect it before the next earnings call, possibly in conjunction with that. They always do some announcements just beforehand to be because that's the stuff they want to announce so that they can mention it during the earnings call to their investors and stuff, right? So we're definitely going to hear stuff soon. The other reason for that is they need to start swatting these rumours. Now, I can say all this and people can come out and say, oh no, I'm actually, I think it's fine. But until people are actually allowed to talk about what's going on, these rumours are just going to keep flying, and it will be dead before it launches. Yeah. Because, this is just how it works. This is how
a vacuum always fills. With
exactly. Yeah, and in gaming, I think this is especially true and especially bad, where if you do not control your message 100%, bad stuff seeps through, and they did an incredible good job of that with Overwatch. They always had Jeff Kaplan personally replying to the biggest topics on the game, but they haven't had any of that here because nobody can talk about it yet. So if they don't want it to die, they're going to have to announce something. Their hands are going to be forced, even if it is, yes, we announced this too early. Here's what's going on. You will hear more here. You will definitely hear more at BlizzCon, or you will definitely hear more on this date. That's the kind of thing they definitely need to do. And they have said, finally, that it is still scheduled for this year. It's going to start this year. There's going to be, you know, X number of teams this year. They will start playing games. Presumably they'll have some kind of final at BlizzCon. That's what we know.
So stay tuned for more news on the Overwatch League soon, and keep your eye on the site for an announcement on the anniversary event, as and when it happens.
So,
Thanks as always for watching, and we'll see you next time on Overwatch This. Take care.